Hello, welcome to the Smoke Out series. My name is Gozala Davis, and today we have another smoking cessation specialist joining us. Welcome, Annie Lata. Thank you so
Hi,
much for
Cecilia.
agreeing to join me.
Thank you.
First of all, tell us where you are, where people can find you.
You can find me on puresoulhypnosis.com. I'm also on YouTube. I have lots of free meditations and videos up there that all of my clients like to follow up with. And I'm also on Facebook. And all of my sessions I do on Zoom.
You'll find all the links below the video. Yes, Annie has lots of great practical tips. Do visit her. I'm going to ask some standard questions, just like I ask everybody. From your experience, now that you've seen so many clients, what is it in your opinion? Is it a chemical addiction or it's a habit? What is smoking?
I would definitely say it's a habit. A lot of my smokers have been doing it for over 20 years, so it becomes like an emotional divorce for them too. But there's always something that comes to light when we're figuring out why they smoke, and they get to admit to parts of themselves about why they have that habit and what that habit is actually hiding or pacifying, rather than it just being a chemical addiction. Because once they detox, it only takes like a few days of my research.
True, yeah. From the most people that I've seen for smoking cessation, everyone's number one concern was chemical addiction, the chemical part. Somehow people convince that that's what makes it hard. But that is the easiest part. If you follow everything we tell you to do, things are easy. You won't even notice the withdrawal symptoms from chemical addiction. The real work is happening beyond that.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll just notice how much better you can breathe. That's the first thing that people always follow up with me about.
What words you like to hear, Annie, when people call you or they inquire maybe by email? What do you like to see when you know this is my client? This is yes.
When they use the words, I am just done with this. If they don't say, oh, yeah, my wife, or if they're like, I just want to be done with it. I don't want to be this person anymore. They want like a new identity almost. They're like, I just don't want to be a smoker anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to have it like enslave me. I don't want to be at the airport and feel like a prisoner. They just want to, yeah, be a new person. And I find that like really brave, because that's the first step that changes their whole life.
And on the opposite spectrum, what definitely says, this is big no. I don't think I can work here.
I've had a couple people that want to challenge me as a hypnotist. Oh, yeah, hypnosis doesn't work for me. And I'm like, okay, well, then I think we're done here.
Yes, you're right. Hypnosis is not going to help
Yeah,
you.
if that's your belief system, then I'm competitive in other areas of my life, but I'm not going to change your mind if you've already made up your mind that hypnosis isn't your thing and you just are bored and want to get a rise out of practitioner.
I've had my share too. It's unfortunate that people would want to waste yours and theirs time like that. That's not smart.
No.
Just not smart. You see people virtually online, right? You don't do
Yes.
in person.
I also do over the phone too, and I found that some of my older clients, they don't even want the Zoom option. They just want to feel comfortable and not have to call someone to help with the setup. So I do over the phone too. I just tell them
You know, Annie,
to headphones.
I had one older gentleman, he said, I don't want government to spy on me. Only phone. Only phone.
Oh,
Yes, government spies on you, but what difference does it make? As
He's
long
getting
as you're not
healthy.
doing something that you're not
Yeah,
supposed to. What difference does it
let's
make?
put more pharmaceutical commercials on his feed now.
Yeah. Do you find it more challenging because you cannot see the person, you cannot observe their reaction? How do you work with it?
I mean, I can hear their breath. I don't want to say like I'm so psychic, but I feel like I really like tune into this person. I know their full name, like I know where they physically are, and I talk to them. Sometimes if I do feel like they have drifted too deep, then I will say, okay, on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes and then close them. And the count of three, you'll drift even deeper. Just in case I've done that a couple of times because their breathing sounds so heavy. But I haven't had any issues yet where they've said, no, I was
You
asleep the
haven't
whole
heard
time.
any snoring.
Well, it's questionable. Sometimes how the elders breathe, especially these
True.
guys that have been smoking 30 years, it's just like it's how they breathe. It's like it sounds like a snore, but it's from all the smoking.
Yeah, I've done too. Quite a few cessations over for not just smoking cessations, other things too, with hypnosis. Used to be much more. Now, very, very rare. As I said, recently that older gentleman insisted on phone instead of Zoom. But I remember it was like seance with, are you there? I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Just give me response that you can hear me. Yes, Guzal, I'm here. Why are you so quiet? Are you there?
Can you
Let me know.
whistle?
It's just reminds me every time how big of a power hypnosis has. We can work in whatever way is available to us in any place from anywhere. Remember, long time ago, now you're going to suspect how old I am. A long, long time ago, I've even written script not for another hypnotist, but for a client, which this person would read before bed. And I've had enveloped some needed positive suggestions to help their mind to be reprogrammed. Yes, I couldn't see them in person. They were too far away. We couldn't do phone session for whatever reason. They refused. They were asking, is there any other way? Is it possible to make it work? And actually, it was their suggestion. Can you just write it for me so I'll follow directions?
Wow.
It worked.
Nice.
It worked.
And at the end of the day, it's what they were comfortable with, especially if they suggested it. If my client suggests the phone, if they suggest that type of correspondence, it's like what they want.
Yeah.
So, and long distance used to be so expensive to call.
Well, that probably was one of the reasons. That makes sense. Annie, tell me, how long is your process takes overall? Because just as many hypnotists as there are that many ways to do smoking cessation, what is your process? Don't give away your, trade secrets. Just give us overview so people understand. Because if they never experience that, they have no clue what to expect.
Right. Yeah, I've seen hypnotists that have 6-week programs, but I like it easy peasy, and it's a 2-hour program. However, it's not just 2 hours because prior to the appointment, I do some correspondence with my client. I send them little mental preparations to prepare them for the appointment. So there is a little bit of homework they have to do prior, but them actually on the phone or over Zoom is an hour 45, 2 hours.
And what happened afterwards?
Afterwards, I send them the recording and I send them a couple other of my secret sauce. I have some other meditations and recordings for them to keep up the progress because like I said before, they're not only just giving up the smokiness, they're transforming into another person who's more embodied and present. So I sent them other recordings that help them along with that process.
How do you prepare them for your appointment? What do you tell them to do? Is there a specific timeline or depends on what's
Yeah, it
happening?
depends. I mean, usually with my schedule, it's a week, sometimes just 4 days out that I can get them in. And that's enough time for them to stock up on specific foods and other, I don't want to give away too much, but just things so they feel prepared
It's
because
like going into voluntary quarantine so they can emerge as a new being, right?
exactly.
This
And
is
even
cool.
after the hypnosis, when I take them out, I'm like, it feels like you just got out of a vacation. So if you go on vacation, you have to prepare all of your stuff. You have to like make sure your bag's packed. You have to make sure you have it marked on your calendar. You have to make sure you have your plane snacks. So it's kind of like that.
It's cool. Tell me, Annie, what's your favorite? Well, actually, I should mention that Annie is a phenomena from all the hypnotists I personally know. Smoking cessation is usually, they do it not by choice, just because there is too much demand, but it wasn't their intention in the beginning of career. And lots of hypnotists just simply refuse it. They don't like it. Not the easiest part of doing hypnotherapy and least favorite usually, but we have Annie here. And this is the first hypnotist I've ever met that says, this is my favorite. And I applaud to that. Yay. Tell me, what do you like about it?
I feel very confident in it, and I know that it's like I just know the formula, and it's always like a different like kind of person. It's not someone who's done these types of things before. Usually, my smokers or my non-smokers, they're not people that usually go to yoga or meditation classes. It's so when they experience hypnosis, it's like wow, it's an experience for them. So I like to be the one that introduces them to this practical ways to meditate and to come into this world without being like, Om Shanti Shanti. You can be an embodied person who takes your presence seriously and not, have to do all of the rest of the stuff. And so the smokers are just I like to show them the new world of meditation.
I just think it's so inspiring and empowering because now they see the results. Smokers come to us as a last resort after
Mhm.
quitting many times and restarting. And now
True,
they get to experience
true.
real
Yeah, and it's nice
power
to
of
kind of
hypnosis and see the results. And then you think, okay, if I could do that, what else is possible? Yeah, you're opening the gate into entirely new world of
exactly.
possibilities. Well, Annie, just for our listeners, would you have any special trait? I feel like a beggar right now. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be begging for you. Annie, will
The
you have
sailor's
any
up
treat
to
for
bat.
us?
Actually, I do. I recently did a workshop that I recorded, and it's motivation to quit smoking. It was a really fun workshop. It's not like the whole 2 hour process. It's available on Etsy, it's on PayHip. I did this workshop because I've had a lot of people that want to quit, but they're just like, oh yeah, I will after this, after this. And then like I talk to them and they feel really guilty about it. I'm like, look, you don't have to feel guilty, but you have to be, sure that you want to do it. So I did this motivation workshop. We did a hypnosis where we go into the future and meet with that version that you want to be. And that is, really motivating because you obviously your older self wouldn't want you to continue with this habit. We did a few other really helpful things in there and the motivation one. So that one's it's an hour and it's only $25 right now.
It's ready for the instant access. I am understanding. It's already recorded, right? At
Exactly.
any
Yeah, it's
moment, in
just
the
like
middle of
this.
night, or 5 minutes from now, after our video is done. Yeah, you'll find the link under the video. This is one thing that people don't pay attention to. It's like the failure happened before they even tried to quit smoking. It's failure to decide to quit, or waiting for perfect time, or for the things to get better. Life doesn't stop.
Right,
Things will be happening all the time.
right.
And some
And
are
that's
just scared. They scared before they try to quit.
Yeah, and they get nervous filling out the forms, like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do instead? And I offer so many replacements in my sessions and prepare you for the stress. And because, like you said, life doesn't stop. There's never gonna be this perfect doors of heaven open on earth for you, and you're like, this is the day.
Even if it's same difficult life, it's still easier to live that kind of life if you don't continuously poison yourself. You have
Right.
more stamina, more energy, longer lifespan, more money because you're not spending it on cigarettes every day.
And
Yeah,
you have more pride when you do what you say you're gonna do. If you've been telling everyone in your family that you're gonna quit and then you never quit, you feel bad about yourself because you're not following through, and maybe other people aren't taking you as seriously because of that too.
this is the crazy part. People put off quitting for so long, for so very long. And once they do, then they start to realize it's not just about quitting cigarettes, the entire life changes. It spreads into every area. Every aspect of your life start to improve. You really become a different person.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Because the pride is like it's like addicting, I feel like too. When you're proud of yourself, you're like, oh, what else can I do to make myself
Yeah,
so
yeah.
proud?
Another thing I wanted to ask you, Annie. One of the things that holds back smokers usually, because they've tried before, and some, not everyone actually experience really bad withdrawal symptoms, but some do, can be pretty harsh, like nausea, indigestions, migraines. Some people get like flu symptoms. Some cannot eat anything, some cannot sleep. I'm pretty sure you've met people like that too.
Yeah, or they get a lot of extra mucus that comes up.
Yeah. How do you help those people?
There's other things that they can do to try to alleviate those symptoms.
To help the detoxing process.
Right. Yes.
That's nice. Well, you probably embed some hypnotic suggestions to alleviate those discomforts.
Right. Yeah. During the hypnosis, they're gonna start to be attracted to better things for their body after the session. I haven't had a client have the symptoms be unmanageable.
Good. I guess maybe it depends on the overall state of health to how bad those symptoms can get. What are your clients in average? They're older, younger people? I'm just wondering.
It's either for me like older retired people or people that just started a family, 30s or so, or like on the other side of the spectrum, 60s, 70s. I mean, I have the middle ones, but it's interesting that I have this big gap sometimes because people are starting their family and they're realizing, that they want to stay alive longer and be a good role model. Or they retire and they're like, well, now I finally get to enjoy my life and I'm over here wheezing and, walking away outside from my wife just to, smoke, and they want to also enjoy their life longer now that they finally don't have to work.
Yes, with more mature people, that's what usually they say. I want to stay alive for my grandkids.
Mhm.
Grandkids say grandma stinks. I
Yeah,
don't want to stink. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a good motivator for some people. I mean, what was your favorite? I know you like doing smoking cessation, but there was maybe a case that you enjoy more than others? Maybe surprised you?
I had a client who was also like a drinker. Like he had his vodka, I think it was a vodka martini, and his cigarettes. And then it actually ended up that I could do both in one, which is rare with alcohol. Usually that's a very complex issue. But he followed up with me, and it was like since he didn't have the cigarette, he didn't want his martini either.
It was a combo.
Yeah, it was a combo, so it was like a two for one, and I thought that was
How
really,
cool.
really
Yes, this
miraculous.
is very common. Which of the cigarettes during the day you enjoy the most? People say usually the first in the morning with coffee, or an evening with a cocktail or a glass of wine. As my experience shows, you probably notice that too. It's actually easier to quit two at the same time, easier than try to separating them, because every time this person will be having wine, oh, I usually smoke, and especially when you bring in alcohol, those triggers, those cravings can be really unmanageable. It's easier to just get rid of both, at least when you are confident that you don't need a cigarette anymore.
Exactly, that confidence is key. And there's so much like more conscious presence after the hypnosis. They realize like actually this doesn't taste good. Like because I know they try to test it. They'll tell me like, they want to test it, like, okay, did this work? And it's like it's not tasting good because it doesn't taste good. And you know, you can't lie to
Yeah,
yourself.
one of the favorite parts of smoking cessations when the client is emerged from hypnosis and I ask them, would you like a cigarette? And sometimes, not every client, but sometimes you can see gag.
Right.
Like, okay, my job is done here. My job is done. Yeah. Well, another thing I wanted to ask your opinion on it. Usually, smokers don't have a very good appetite. Most of smokers don't even eat breakfast. They don't feel like it,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
Well, the body is constantly intoxicated, but also smoking kills all the taste buds. So smokers don't even get to enjoy the actual flavor of food. And then also that constant mucousy stuff to probably complicate the relationship with food. Did you have lots of people complaining about this issue? I have. And also, what do you see afterwards? What happened? When you check on clients, do they mention anything about this?
My clients mention more, they always mention more about the breath, but I think that's what I focus more on my sessions. But they just seem to enjoy their meals more, is what they tell me.
Yeah, that's
Because,
what my clients say too.
yeah,
Well, I'm actually hungry. And it turned out that I actually like to eat, and food tastes phenomenal because now it's coming back. All those senses are awakening again.
right. Yeah, all the senses, that's true.
Yeah,
The aromas. Yeah, because the smokers, it's everyone else usually that's bothered by the smell. They became numb to it.
yeah. Well, that leads me to another standard question. Lots of people worry about gaining weight after they quit smoking. This is what everybody says. Once you quit smoking, you're going to be hungry, you will have appetite, and you'll gain weight. What do you
No.
have to say about that?
You're going to gain awareness about what your body actually needs because you're not having these toxins coat every part of your body inside. So your body will be craving what it wants to be nourished by, which is like a huge part of the sessions, to have foods and exercise and habits come into your life that will make you better and make you feel good. And those foods will include real foods. Your body is going to want to have meals. And that's why I have my clients be prepared for the session so they can cook themselves a nice meal, because your body is going to want to sit down and nourish, not just like have a taco on the run. You want to sit down and have these different flavors that you didn't get to experience fully before. Have the sour, have the sweet, have the salty, have the cooling foods.
I just want to add here that dead bodies don't gain weight. If this is your only concern,
That's harsh. Yikes.
well, would you share some practical tip for people who are ready to become smoke free? What can they do today, even before booking an appointment? Maybe they need a little nudge to make that choice, or maybe they already made that choice. What would be the first step?
I'll give away a little tip. Start putting your cigarettes somewhere besides your purse or the coffee table where you usually put them. So every time you go and get a cigarette, you're consciously, because it becomes so second nature for smokers, it's in their pocket. They're just like, So put them somewhere else and ask yourself, what do I need right now when you go to get the cigarette? And maybe you don't need the cigarette, maybe you just need a glass of water.
Make it less convenient.
Exactly, make the
So
smoking
take
less
a little more effort. Our brains are designed in a way to preserve as much energy as possible. That's what actually creates laziness sometimes. And in this case, this is a good quality. You might feel lazy in the moment if you need to go someplace else to get that cigarette. And as we know, the craving itself doesn't live for a long time. It's that spark, that desire. It only lasts for a few seconds. If you don't feed it, it will go away on its own. This is really smart strategy, putting it someplace else, the cigarettes. Yeah.
true. It's a relief too when the smokers realize that. It's really empowering to realize that craving doesn't last that long.
Well, Annie, thank you so much for sharing your secrets with us. And again, I'll put all the links under the video, so when you're ready, you can reach out to Annie, perhaps
Thank you
book
so
a
much.
consultation or check out all her other resources. As I said before, she has wealth of practical tips. Thank you.
Thank you.